Test. All right. Audio sync. Hey everybody, how's it going? So I had a comment on a live stream that I was doing a few weeks ago. I was walking around Broadway and 19th Street or 5th Avenue and 19th Street, and somebody in my chat said that you should be concerned, Lewis, you should be concerned, you shouldn't be walking through there, it's dangerous. And that's how I started to realize that while I do criticize the vacant real estate of New York City and how a lot of it looks, that there seems to be a misconception out there for people who don't live here as to what danger areas are and what they are not. 5th Avenue and 19th Street or Broadway and 19th Street is not an area that anybody who actually lives in the city is afraid of walking through in broad daylight, and anybody that tries to make you think that you need to be scared walking through 5th Avenue and 19th Street or Broadway and 19th Street in broad daylight is, in my opinion, a propagandist. So I've been seeing a lot of comments about Times Square and asking for Times Square. I've also been seeing a lot of somewhat fear-mongering news articles and headlines saying that Times Square is highly dangerous. So I thought I'd actually show you around the area and just walk through it on a Saturday late evening, soon to be night, and show you what everything looks like. And you can decide for yourself from what you see if you would be scared to walk through here. So I have actually the 360 camera as well as my normal camera, because I don't know if the 360 video is going to work. A lot of the times the 360 video fails to process on YouTube. Sometimes it can take 3 to 5 days for it to upload and it will fail. So I'm going to use my normal little Sony cam as well as that. So I'm around 40th Street and Broadway here. Just going to take a look through. You can see over there, it looks like there's a place that's boarded up. Whatever this night guard place is over there, looks like it's boarded up. I may wind up posting both if it allows me to. This is going to be a little walk through Times Square. Now, to be clear, I don't actually spend a lot of time in this area. Honestly, nobody that lives in, most people who live in the city don't spend time in Times Square because it's a tourist hellhole. So, you know, this is the kind of place that the Department of Consumer Affairs was invented for. So you'll have a lot of these little electronics stores or gift shops. Maybe I'll show you some with electronics in the window. These are the places where you're going to find an A1181 MacBook being sold as, quote, new at a price of $1,000 in 2021. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. I remember seeing an A1342 MacBook. This is a 2009 model being sold as new in 2017. So like these types of gift shop places, like these are the biggest ripoff in the city. You're like, everything here is super expensive. You want a teeny sandwich, it's going to be like 18, 20 bucks. And you know, you have Broadway shows and you have some mega stores. Actually, you don't. Retail space for lease over here. Probably look like you got this. You got another one over here. But you used to have, I should say, you used to have a bunch of these stores for lease. So you got. But yeah, Times Square is essentially a giant tourist trap. And everybody that I know that spends time in the city or works in the city spends no time here. It's really weird because people from all around the world come here to see Times Square, and people who've grown up here and lived here all their lives, many of them I ask, and like they only go here if there's an office space that they have to go to that is in this area. So you have, you know, like brand name stores like H&M over there, and you got, you know, some fancy schmancy kind of shit, all those advertising billboards up there. It's just kind of like you're being advertised to all the time. So as you can see, now you could look around on your own if the 360 camera is working, and if that doesn't work, then I'm using the normal camcorder. There's nothing here that's even remotely scary or bad. Like, I would never in a million years be scared to walk through this area. And when I received that comment from that gentleman saying I needed to be scared because I was live streaming walking on Broadway and 19th Street, I knew that that was just kind of ridiculous. And that same gentleman had also suggested that Times Square was like absolutely horrible. So I have a DPA microphone on. This is a $600 microphone. I'm carrying a Sony AX53, which is about like a $900 or $1,000 recorder. And I have a GoPro 360 on my head, which I got used, but the retail of this is around like 500 bucks. So I'm walking around with pretty much what's about $2,000 in stuff on me that I'm flaunting, and I haven't even gotten a modicum of negative attention. Because I'm gonna keep walking up here, and then I may show you, depending on whether the battery lasts or not, the some of the areas that I used to work in. I used to work on a film center building on 44th and 9th. Let's just continue going through Times Square over here. Look, it's a Mario. It's very crowded, as is usual. That's another reason that people who live here have no desire to ever come here, because it's highly crowded. You have a bunch of people taking pictures of themselves. It's just kind of, you know. Yeah, as much as I'm not a big fan of New York City, I couldn't let that fly. Aren't you afraid to walk through Times Square, Lois? That's when you can tell that people are starting to get drunk on the wrong news channels. In New York. The guy in the truck actually recognized me. That's crazy. So this is news over here. This is Squawk Box. Squawk Box, CNBC. As Peter Schiff would call it, crypto news, Bitcoin. This is a big Peter Schiff fan over here. This is a big Peter Schiff fan over here. I'm messing with her. She can't stand Peter Schiff. But I think that's a mobile police station or something over there, right by where the flag is. Okay, as you can see, this is as crowded as can be, which is again one of the reasons that I seek to avoid Times Square at all costs. Look, there's people everywhere. You remember when I was doing those bike ride videos where I was riding through Times Square earlier in the year and it was totally dead? Do you guys remember that? Because I rode my bike through Times Square and there was nobody there.
There's a PlayStation Theater.
PlayStation Theater? What's that for? Huh. There's Batman, Eric. NYPD Batman. There's Batman, The Dark Knight. There's an ambulance over there. There's a drone up there. Am I actually capturing the drone? Erica, you see the drone? Erica, can I get a drone? I want a drone. Why can't I have a drone? Huh? I don't trust that drone though. I broke the JP drone, unfortunately. I flew it into the wall too many times. I need to get a new propeller for it. It's COVID-19 testing over there. So you can see if you have COVID. One thing you may notice is that the retail spaces here are very vibrant. They're all open. All of these stores are open in Times Square. Okay, this looks like it's under construction or something, but for the most part, everything here is open. It's not this horrible, what's the word, graveyard of dead small businesses. You have all these lovely, flourishing corporate chains: Levi's, Swatch, Sephora, Invicta. I never even heard of Invicta. I have no idea what that is. A bunch of advertising up there, lots of advertising. The people are so close and around. I wonder if you guys actually feel claustrophobic if the 360 version of this video is posting. Do any of you feel claustrophobic, like you're surrounded by people?
Hey, look up. Look at that tech debt.
Look at what?
Tech debt is costing businesses.
Tech debt is costing businesses. What's this say? I'm sorry.
Should have stayed in the house. Should have stayed in the house.
Should have stayed in the house, stinking ass, N-word, and bitch. Okay, so that's like the first thing that I don't know if the microphone picked that up because this mic is close to my mouth, so it mostly picks up me. That's the worst thing that you heard the entire time. When it was a guy sitting down talking shit. Whatever. I could care less about that. Again, I just want to make it clear that this is not a hidden camera. I look like an idiot right now. So, I'm walking around with this giant thing on my head. This DPA microphone, GoPro, and this camera. So I look like a complete and utter schmuck right now. I look like a prime target to be robbed, and nobody has done anything because nobody in their right mind is scared of walking through Times Square in 2021. 1991 maybe, 2021 no. So you got an empty store over here, but you may actually notice that the frequency of dead stores is considerably lower here in contrast to other sections of the city. Now, you must also keep in mind that Broadway is closed right now, so they don't have any of the Broadway shows going on. Remember when Mobb Deep and stuff like that were popular hip-hop? Back when hip-hop was good? I can't listen to any of that shit. It's just, it's useless. It's horrible. I could listen to Mobb Deep, the Infamous, even though I obviously, for a number of reasons, can't identify with what they're talking about. But it's something that I could actually listen to in my chair and like bob my head to as I'm doing my work. I can't fuck with that. It's just it's talentless shit. Anyway, got people selling stuff here, selling pictures. Now, you have to keep in mind, all the Broadway shows are closed right now. So when Broadway shows reopen, there'll be a lot more to attract people here. Right now, this is just a retail tourist trap of random shit. Like this is all just a giant tourist trap. Okay, these are the stores I was talking about. This is the kind of shit that inspires the Department of Consumer Affairs. Never in a million years, ever, if you're watching this video, never if you come to New York City, buy anything at one of those fucking small gift shops. I'm telling you. An A1342 MacBook was selling as new for $1,000 around 2017. Like everything in that store will be a giant ripoff. It is like nobody who lives in this city will ever buy anything from one of those New York City gift shops. And they have to do that to you. They have to do it to you. Oh, they have bags over there. They gotta do it to you because they're paying a rent of $75,000 to $100,000 a month. If you remember when I showed you what the stores around this area were, one of those was around 75K. So they need to nickel and dime you out of every last dollar in order to be able to pay their rent. So I understand why they do it. You know, they got to do them. It's just you do you, and you can browse, walk around inside, buy this shit anywhere else. Gentleman's Club. You're a gentleman. Alright, now I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt that the gentleman that left that comment on my video is talking more about 9th Avenue, not the more glamorous section. So we're gonna walk over to 9th. We're gonna walk over to 9th Avenue. I'm not gonna walk all the way up here because that's where it's gonna start getting a little more fancy. We can give him the benefit of the doubt that he was afraid to walk on 8th or 9th Avenue. So let's walk over to the Film Center building. That's where I used to work. And God knows there was a very interesting cast of characters that used to walk through that building every day in the late 2000s when the 7th floor was filled with a music studio that had about 33 rooms and rehearsal rooms. The Burger Man looks dead. And as usual, you got your typical broken window over there. So I could really use Rich Rebuilds' flute right now to make sure I don't get a copyright claim. Careless Whisper, Rich Rebuilds flute, where are you? Where are you, flute? I need you. I need you. this with a careless whisper, out of tune clipping flute, you'll know why. All right. Gonna wait for this van to come to cross. Looks like a street vendor there for something. Okay, let's go over to 8th and 9th Avenue. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt that they're talking about the more west side. That's gonna be grimy. But I still have a feeling that they're full of shit. Okay. I look like such a tool wearing this fucking camera on my head. Look at this. Do I not look like a tool? Giant tool. Alright. Hey. I'll show you the building I used to work in, Erica. The Book of Mormon. Can I tell you guys a story? So, I asked this woman out on a date that goes to my gym, and I had these rewards points for something, so I had the ability to get tickets to Broadway shows. I chose the wrong type of rewards. Like, instead of choosing cash back, I chose some Broadway shit. So I was able to get, like, you know, like really nice tickets, so I figured I might as well use them, use this up. I asked her on a date. She's standing next to this guy. I didn't know if she was dating somebody or if she wasn't dating somebody. But she always came to the gym with this dude, and I figured that's either the trainer or the boyfriend. He's like 275 pounds. He's filled with like rock hard muscle. And I'm like, well, I was gonna ask her out, and then I didn't. And then my trainer looked at me and said, pussy. And that, I mean, you just can't say that. That's not allowed. So I immediately went downstairs, and I saw that she's next to the 275-pound guy. I'm like, oh, all right, here's the end for me. I asked her out, and she said yes. And then he says, that was brave, son. And then he goes to shake my hand, and I'm like, well, figured there was a 50-50 chance. And yeah, he was the trainer, it wasn't the boyfriend. But I asked if she wanted, you know, I said, I think you'd enjoy seeing this show. It'll be fun. And she goes, oh really? And it's like, yeah, it doesn't look like you have enough fun. And she goes, huh? I'm like, everybody else here smiles. You used to smile. I forget what I said. It was something cheesy and stupid and fucking ridiculous. But anyway, she says yes, and we go to this show. And she's black, and I had never seen Book of Mormon before. I had never seen it. And she's like one of these, you know, like really proud black women. She's got like the cult. I forget what she was wearing, but she was wearing something that made it obvious that like she cares about her culture and her heritage and all that. And we go to the show, and I had never seen Book of Mormon in my life. I've never seen the show before. No idea what's in the Book of Mormon. And then we get to the part where they go, Africa. And then she goes, what's wrong with Africa? And then everybody in the show just starts screaming, AIDS, 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 AIDS. And I just figured I figured she was gonna kill me. She had this look on her face like she was gonna murder me. Because the thing is, I didn't know that that was in the show. And I was kind of wondering that whole time, does she think that I knew it was in the show ahead of time and that I asked her out just so that I could embarrass her? And she's looking at me like she wants to fucking murder me. And I forget exactly what I said. I was able to say something to kind of turn her wanting to kill me into a laugh. We actually had like 1 or 2 good dates. After that, I kind of went downhill because I felt like I was going out with somebody that saw the world through the philosophical lens of a Beyonce song. But I just figured I would share that story. That was so fucking, that was like, oh man. I had never seen the show. I didn't know what it was about. I just heard that it was good. But man, that was awkward. That was so awkward. She's sitting there next to me, and they go, you're gonna be sent on a mission to Africa. And he goes, and the person on the stage goes, Africa? In that skeptical way. And then she goes, what's wrong with Africa? And crosses her arms. And then they all start screaming. I forget if it was AIDS or something else. And I'm like, oh man, I want to shrink into my seat and die. I managed to turn it from this very angry looking face into a laugh. And that's something that I'm always going to remember. That lady was looking at me, which is kind of strange. All right, we're about over to 9th Avenue over there. So I'm going to walk down 44th Street. We'll see if the battery lasts long enough for me to do that. Hello, Erica. And uh-oh.
What?
Uh-oh. My memory card is dead. Sync, second file. Okay, my memory card just messed up there, so I just did a few snaps to get the audio synced between my GoPro and this, because I'm going to use the audio from the camera on my GoPro. So snap, snap, snap. Okay, hopefully that'll do it. And yeah, this is a 64 gigabyte SanDisk SD card that I have in my camera, and I've been using this as this micro SD card since a phone that I had in around 2012 or 13, and I'm still using it. I think it was like 2012 that I got this SD card. So I'm surprised this thing even has write cycles left in it. All right, so 9th Avenue's got a lot of really nice, cool little restaurants. Amish market over there is beautiful, lovely stuff. You should really check it out. And we're gonna walk down here. Okay, let's see where we are. Okay, so 9th Avenue is way more small business, small shop than what you have in Times Square. But let's see, you got one dead one over there. To be expected. This looks like a cheesesteak place that is closed on Saturday at 6 p.m., which means they are, if they're not for rent now, they will be soon. There's no way they're paying their rent in this section, being closed at 6 p.m. on a Saturday. So you get a little bit more when it comes to the dead businesses around here. Again, you don't have as many dead businesses in Times Square as you do here. Here, there's a dead business just about, every couple of steps. But again, the concept that I would be afraid, I would have fear of walking through here is, to me, absurd. Again, there are parts of New York City where I'm not carrying a camera on my head and carrying a $1,000 camera in my hand. And I live like a mile and a half from one of them. Some would argue I live in one of them, but I'm just not at the point of where I would consider that yet. Okay, so you have restaurant or retail available over there. You have this that has nothing in it. The Asian food place over there is closed. That Fuel restaurant, grill and bar is closed. I don't know what this is over here, but this looks dead. So you have a lot more of the business death over here. But I think you'd have to be a little bit drunk on your Hannity or your Tucker Carlson to believe that you would be afraid to walk through here. Like, I would. This is typical New York City. So this is a red light. That guy actually yelled at the car as he walked by, almost like he's kind of memeing the car to run him down or run him over. So what I do is I usually look both ways and then I cross. I don't just cross at a red. I'll admit it, I've gone through reds before, but I look to my left and I look to my right and then I go. I don't just go and then yell when there's a car near me. So over here, that's a dead store, right on the brown paper. Here you have another dead store. A lot of these places are dead. Let's keep going. Try our Amy's Bread. I had a roommate that worked here 11 years ago. Yeah, so it looks like they closed half of their location. That's a laundromat. There's no such thing as a good-looking laundromat in New York City. Okay, here we go. Deli, grocery, beer, soda. A deli that's dead at 6 p.m. on a Saturday. Again, they're probably gone. This says vacate order, keep out. Department of Housing and Preservation and Development has determined the residential premises is a danger to the life, health, or safety of its occupants and is unfit for human habitation. Oh, nonsense. They had the same thing on 186 First Avenue, and we kept working for at least another 2 years. Maybe they actually mean it this time. Over there, across, you have another place that's for rent. So here you really do have a lot of the business debt. So this place is probably dangerous for, I don't know. dangerous for the financial health of your small business, but most certainly not dangerous as a place to actually walk through. Again, I have not felt one time walking through here even the slightest bit of concern for myself or the woman that is walking behind me. Restaurant space for lease. Okay, we're getting very close to the film center. 7th floor. Any of those who have memories back in the mid to late 2000s who worked there, press F in the chat. We have this one that's empty. We have this one that's empty. We have this that's empty. So yeah, this entire block is just dead, dead, dead. Yes. You want to go here when we're done? You go once this is done, okay? There's one that we always pass on the way home. She wants to go to a place that's after her, that is named after her nickname. Okay. Smiler Gourmet Deli. There used to be a Lenny's sandwich place across the street from here. I miss Lenny's so much. They had the best chicken parmesan sandwich I've ever had in New York City. The wrap is amazing. There was also a 50-cent chicken place over there that I would not, I don't know if it's still around or not, but that place was absolutely horrible. So this is the Film Center building. This is the first real job, well, if you want to call it.
Was that place over there?
Semi-internship, semi-real job? I don't remember. I never went down there. Yeah. This is the first place that I remember. That was the first real job that I had to go to in New York City for a year and a half. And I mean in Manhattan, not New York City. People from Staten Island call New York City the city, even though Staten Island is part of the city, because it's not really part of the city. It's kind of, they've actually tried to, what's the word, secede before, but that's a long story in and of itself. 5 Napkin has been here for a really long time. I'd expect them to still be here. Every single one of these places across the street besides Smiler is a different place than what I remember being in. Film Center building here. Excuse me. So that takes up the whole block. So I'm going to walk over to Port Authority, because that's where I'd expect most of the griminess to be if we're talking about... Seriously? This thing died again. Yeah, I gotta get... I'm going to get a new SD card. This thing... Okay, my SD card died for a 3rd time, so I can sync the audio up to my other... Excuse me. I'm just going to snap my fingers a few times. Wait, really? Recovering data again?
Yeah, so I charged him. I got a storage bin now. For work stuff. Right by my house. I got a fucking 7.
It's overheating?
No, it's this SD card is shit.
You got a copy?
In a moment. Actually. All right, this SD card has seen better days. So one more. Can you clap a few times, Erica? All right, I got an audio sync. All right, so. Bro, Chipotle is closed? Are you serious? Even the chains are closing. This was open when I used to come here.
Chipotle couldn't make it.
This is gonna be a pain in the ass to sync the audio to the video for the 360 version, because this camera died 3 times. Steve is gonna watch this and laugh. He's the one that always tells me SanDisk SD cards suck. Screw you, Steve, if you're laughing at this. He's the data recovery guy at the store. This SD card has lasted me 9 years. 9 loyal years. I'm not ready to give it up yet. We are closed for construction. We come back on August 2nd. All right? I'm just gonna walk over to 42nd Street and 8th Avenue. That's Port Authority. And we'll see what we get along the way. Yeah, by the way, if you're coming to New York City to check out Times Square, like just skip Broadway and 7th Avenue unless you want to spend, you know, 40% over retail for some piece of electronics, or 500% over retail for a shitty t-shirt. Come to the 8th Avenue, come to 9th Avenue, 8th Avenue, that area. You'll find a lot of really cool small little restaurants and shops that are actually kind of the soul of the city, not just, you know, Skechers and Sephora, all that other bullshit. So over here we have a house. This is a house. What do you guys think of this house? I think they call this outdoor dining, but it's a house. It's got a window, it's got a door, it's got a ceiling, it's got a roof, it's got a floor, it's got windows. That's because it's not outside. That's your typical standard New York City filth, but that's normal filth. That's not something that I would consider a detriment to public safety. That's people honking because they're cunts. Standard New York City. Store for rent over there. Store for rent. Alright, I'm just going to walk over to the Port Authority over there, and then I will consider this video done. Again, I will let you make your decisions for yourself. I'm just giving you my personal opinions as I walk through. You make your own decisions for yourself based on what you see in the contents of the video. Again, I'm not editing this deceptively. The only cuts you're going to see in this video is when my SD card died, because I'm using a 9-year-old SD card that I've probably written hundreds of terabytes to at this point for the purposes of recording to this camera, because I'm a cheapskate and I don't like buying new SD cards. I like to burn my SD cards into the ground. I also use them to prove Steve wrong when he says that SanDisk is a horrible brand. I'm a bit of a SanDisk fanboy. It makes no sense, but I think I just kind of became a SanDisk fanboy because of how much Steve shits on them. Like, he shits on them so hard that I kind of became defensive because I feel bad for the little SanDisk. Nobody sticks up for the little SanDisk. Steve's more of a Samsung fanboy. We're gonna walk over to Port Authority. Usually there's some tents or lines of homeless people out there. And if I don't get in any shit while I'm walking through here, then you'll know that this is all just bullshit. Almost there. See if my little SD card will make it. Vaccinations, testing, care. That's a strange looking building up there. I recognized those women were not looking at me, but rather they were looking at the ridiculousness of my appearance, given that I'm wearing a camera on my head and that I have a giant piece of FedEx foam next to my mouth. Okay, so I am just about to Port Authority. I am going to end the video here. I'll give you a zoom into the New York Times building. Any of you want to see the New York Times building? This over here is a famous New York Times building over here. And they have a Schnipper's Kitchen under there. Pretty cool. That is the New York Times. They got a big building. Like, look at this building. If Erica's dad's watching, I know this is his favorite newspaper, so I just figured I would include this in the video. Just in case Erica's dad is watching. Anyway. Whoa! Look at this. They put this ad right in front of the New York Times. Hey, Mr. Sulzberger, the New York Times apologized for burying news about Nazi anti-Semitism. Why are you burying the full truth about the tax on Jews today? That is a bruh moment. That's a bruh moment. Look at, he has a bruh face, does he not? He has the B-R-U-H with an exclamation point personified. And he must have paid good money to put that ad there. Anyway, this is Port Authority. This is what a lot of people have. It's a bus terminal that'll take you to a bunch of different parts of New Jersey. I'm going to walk to the end of the block, and then I will consider my work here done. Again, you decide for yourself what you believe. It is my personal opinion. Again, if you tell me, Lewis, I'm afraid to walk through, I don't know, Brownsville or East New York or something. Again, I've walked through those neighborhoods before, but I see where you're coming from. But if you tell me, like, I'm afraid to walk through Times Square, you're just turn off the television. Just turn off. That's all I could say. Just turn off the TV. Turn off the TV. But again, you make your own opinion based on what you see. Again, cameras don't lie. I get this all the time in these videos. There is a left-wing bias, a right-wing bias, a left-wing. Again, this camera has no left-wing bias or right-wing bias or agenda. It is just a camera, and it shows you what it sees around you. And if the GoPro footage works, then you can actually see everything from all around you. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. Erica, one more clap for audio sync for me. All right, beautiful. Mwah. See you all later.